What time of you homework?
8:30. Okay, now, what's the first thing you need to know about?
Quadrants.
Well, before that, if you're looking at this circle, and I have it into
That
quadrants
is
here, well, it's the best I can do right now. The degrees. If you're looking at this, what do you know? You know that this is 0 degrees, which is also 360. You go up here, what's that going to be? 90. You go over here, what's that going to be? 180. You go down here, what's that going to be? 270. Okay? Those are your degrees. You can see that. What's the next thing you know? Now, we have degrees. What else is an equivalent? Your brain needs to be able to go back and forth. Degrees and radians. So what is this going to be? What's 0? That's going to be 2 pi also. Do we understand that? What else do we know?
So 1 across is 1 pi.
That 1 across it is going to be pi. Which means if this is 180 and that's 90, 90 has to be what? Pi. Pi over 2, right? And this one has to be what down here?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's think about this. If this 90 degrees, which is the same thing as pi over 2, and that's going to give me a half a pi, right? I add another half a pi to it, that gives me 2 pi over 2, right? Which is 1 pi. Add another pi over 2 to that, that gives me 3 pi over 2. And if I go back up here and add another pi over 2 to that, 3 pi over 2 plus pi over 2 is going to be 4 pi over 2, which reduces it down to 2 pi. Do we get that? Now, there's one other thing that's important here. The decimals. What do I know pi be? 3.14. So what's going to be pi over 2? Well, that's going to be half of that. .57. So 3.4, 3.14 and 1.57 is? Are you kidding me? What's 7 and 4? 11. 1 and 1 is 2 plus 5 is 7. 4.71. I really got to add the decimals aloud, you guys.
I was doing it in my head.
I'm still trying to get that.
What is 2 pi? Okay. That's a lot of information. Okay, but we're really not done yet either. You know why we're not done yet? Because this is the unit circle. Okay? The unit circle, which means my radius is 1. So what's the ordered pair associated to this right here? If this was a point, what would that point be? That would be the point. That would be the point 1, 0. Well, look at my ordered pair up here.
0, 1.
What would be my ordered pair over here? What would be my ordered pair down here? It's a circle with a radius of 1. If I told you to draw a radius of 1 circle around the origin, what would you do? You go 1 unit to the right, left, and up and down, right? And draw a circle. That's that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's easy.
Oh,
Now, what do I want you to understand? Right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 points so far.
We're going to get 21 points for sure.
That's 21 points out of your 81 points you have. Okay? But was any of that not common knowledge? All of that came right here. Okay?
From your head.
Let's do another easy point. Another easy point would be what quadrant is quadrant 1 in?
1, 2, 3,
This is
4.
going to be quadrant 1, so that's quadrant 1, so that's going to be V plus plus. There's 3 more points. Because all the points in quadrant 1 have a positive value to them.
So wait, we're
correct?
going to write that on the test?
Yeah, there's 3 more points. Where's quad 2?
Down here.
Top left.
Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Here's quad 2, and what are all the ordered pairs in quad 2?
Minus plus.
They're going to be minus plus. Hey, now there's 3 more points. Where's quad 3? Bottom left.
Only one left. Plus mine.
And the last quadrant is quadrant 4, and that's going to be plus minus.
I might get 12 points.
That's another 12 points. So what's 21 plus 12?
That one's 33.
33 points is what we have so far up here, right? Okay, well now let's talk about this. All right, I need to go away for this a minute.
Just to look at the letter on.
Let's say I wanted to cut this in half.
Alright.
Which one is that? Is that this one?
Does that look like it's cut in half there?
Is that 45?
Well, we know what it means.
Well,
Let's be
Well, it's important that it is.
we should have had it already.
No, you had 5 minutes ago.
This trouble was already.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Okay, that's what we got.
I made it.
What line on our paper is
The
that?
one straight in the middle. There's 3. One in the middle.
How you know?
Because we know.
And the other 2 clearly on the
But
middle.
I'm going to do that in both quadrants. So what have I just done?
Just split it into.
I split each of those quadrants in half, right?
Looks like a pizza.
It should, because it's a circle.
I like it.
Definitely cheap.
Now, let's go back to our degrees, right? What's half of 90 degrees?
45.
45 degrees. So what I'm going to do now is go around the circle and add what? 45 degrees, because each slice of pizza is a 45-degree angle, right? So 45 and 45 gives me 90. 90 and 45 gives me
35.
plus 45 gives me plus 45 gives me plus 45 gives me plus 45 gives me. Okay. Well, now I have my lovely little degrees of 45. Now I need to go by radians. Now what is going to be half of pi over 2? Of means what operation? So I want to take 1/2 and times it by 1/2 to give me 1/4. So what you're telling me is this 45-degree angle is the same thing as pi over 4. So what am I going to add every time? Well, before I added 45 every time, so now I'm going to add pi over 4 every time, which is going to be 1/4, right? So 1/4 plus 1/4 is 2/4, which reduces down to 1/2, right? So I need to have 2/4 plus 1/4 to give me 3/4. Plus 1/4 gives me 4 over 4. Plus 1/4 gives me, what's pi? Pi is 4 over 4. So this is going to be 5 pi over 4. Plus 1/4 gives me
2.
6 pi over 4.
3 pi over
3 pi over 2.
So that's 6 pi over 4. So give me another pi over 4. That gives me
7 pi over 4.
7 pi over 4. So we just added 2, 4, 6, 8 more points to the problem. Is that hard?
That'll probably be a 4 on that one.
Is that hard? Okay. Well, we divided it in half, right? Well, now could we ignore the halves? Okay. Could we cut this part, quadrant 1, into thirds? So if you're saying thirds, what does that mean? 90, a third of 90. That's 90 times 1/3, which is 90 divided by 3. What's 90 divided by 3? 30. So what we have to do is we have to make a 30-degree angle here. So give me a minute here.
Which line's this now?
Okay, now, with that said, it's not perfect by any means. We already got this, yes? It's not perfect by any means, okay? But what I want you guys to understand is all we did was we divided quadrant 1 into how many units? Into equal thirds, right? So if that's equal thirds, that first angle is going to be how many units? 30 degrees. So what's 30 equal 30? So that means this one's 60 degrees. Add another 30 to it, and that's going to be 90. Add another 30 to 90, and that's going to be. Add another 30 to 90, and that's going to be 120. Add another 30 to 120, that gives you 150. Add another 30, that gives you 180. Add another 30, 210. Add another 30, 240. Add another 30, 270. Add another 30, 300. Add another 30, 330. Add another 30, 360. Okay, did we all get that? Was that easy? That wasn't difficult at all, right? So now you have all of your nice little axes, or axles.
The angles
right?
are going to be the easiest part.
The angles are going to be the very easy part. Now let's do the radians. Oh, gosh. Now let's think about this. We took a third of 90, right? So how did I get 30? I took 90 times 1 over 3, or 90 divided by 3, right? So what's 90 equivalent to in radians? Pi over 2. So I need to take pi over 2 and multiply that by 1/3. So what's that going to give me? Pi over 6. So this is pi over 6. Do we understand that? Let's repeat that. You're looking like a nuts. I have pi over 2 times 1/3. That gives me pi over 6. You see that? Does everybody understand that? Okay. Now, how did we go around the circle in degrees? What did we add every time? We added 30 degrees every time, right? So you go from 30 to 60 to 90 to 120 to 150 to 180. You added 30 degrees, right? So what am I going to add this time? What is the equivalent of 30 degrees in radian mode? Pi over 6. So just because I'm changing from one measurement system to another does not mean that I am changing what I'm adding. So if I've added 30 degrees, I'm going to add pi over 6 radians, right? So I'm going to be adding by denominators of 6. So what is pi over 6 plus pi over 6? Add the denominators, you keep the denominators the same. 2 pi over 6. So what does 2 pi over 6 reduce down to? This is going to be pi over 3. But that's actually 2 pi over 6. Do you understand that? You want pi over 3, but your brain needs to understand that's pi over 6 so you can keep counting. 2 pi over 6, okay? So I add another pi over 6, so that gives me 3 pi over 6. But what does 3 pi over 6 reduce down to?
Pi over 2.
But that's 3 pi over 6. Then I'm going to add another pi over 6 to give me 4 pi over 6. What does 4 pi over 6 reduce down to?
5 over 3.
2 pi over 3. So do you see how I'm keeping that as 4 in my head here? 4 pi over 6 plus another pi over 6 is going to give me 5 pi over 6. That's at 150. So I'm at 5 pi over 6 plus pi over 6 gives me 6 pi over 6, which is pi. Once you're at pi, it's very easy to keep going because now you don't have to keep track of the clock. You can just keep on going again. This is 6 pi over 6, right? So what's 6 plus 1? 7 pi over 6. Add another pi over 6, that gives you, what does 8 pi over 6 reduce down to? 8 over 6 reduces down to 4 over 3. Okay, but that's actually 8 pi over 6. What's 8 pi over 6 plus pi over 6? 9 pi over 6, which reduces down to? Okay, so we're at 9 pi over 6, so now I need to add another one. 10 pi over 6 reduces down to 5/3. That's 10 pi, right? Add another pi over 6, that gives you 11 pi over 6.
get 12 power.
And then you're back to 12 pi over 6,
What else could you put on this?
which is 2 pi. Alex?
Is there something, can you go by like 12 all the way around, or you didn't want to figure out if you want to get one switch?
I can't see right now.
Like, you know how it gets going 30s right now? You know, waiting from like 0 to 30, 45.
It'll be a 30-degree angle. I'm really in the mood for sushi.
I want some.
No, because they're all not going to be equivalent. Okay. All right, do we all understand this? Yes or no? We good on this?
Shaky.
What's the hardest part of this?
Putting the lines.
For me, it's putting the lines in. But I couldn't have all the lines up there right away. Maybe I should have made 2 slides. I should have made
That's
3.
what I said, make the slide with the lines, so I would.
I need to do that for next week. Thank you. I'll make sure I do that. Okay. Now, this is absolutely correct. This is what you have to know. Now, we're out of here today at
35.
35. Yes.
You got
All right. I do not want to start the next part of this because it's sine and cosine values, and it's going to be like, okay? So, it is not hard. You're absolutely right. It's not hard.
complete test.
This is not the complete thing. There is one more step you have to
How
ask.
many points will I get if I do?
Stop copying everyone. I am not trying to be mean here. If you do not memorize this unit circle, your lovely little travel in chapter 4 for trig is going to eat you alive. Okay? You have got to know this stuff. You've got to memorize this. You need to be able to figure out how to find it out. Because if you know quadrant 1, you should know every other quadrant. All you have to do is memorize quad 1. If you memorize quad 1, the rest will all fall out. Okay? Now, what do I want you guys to do? I am going to make several copies of this unit circle worksheet. Okay? I strongly suggest that you guys redo it and 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 redo it until it is just, because I'm giving you its time. You know it or you don't. Okay? Do we understand that? So, how many of you would like to have another copy of the unit circle right now to try to do what you can do in the last second until we just did?
I'm gonna get it.
With
No, I'm going to leave it. Put it down and see how far you guys get.
to be honest.
If I look at it, I'm gonna be like,
Okay, the remainder of the period, what do I want you guys to do is I want you to put your unit circle away, and I want you guys to try to do this all by your lonesomes, using just your brain, what we just went over, okay?
we're so trying to do quickly on the homework.